Hey, everybody. Welcome into Business Salad, where we mix up all things business for you for free.
Yeah, and I am Katie Anderson. This is Steph, and we are so excited to be here with Nicole today from Dark Horse Nutrition. And we are going to learn all the things that we possibly can in this short amount of time about nutrition, what she's up to, things to make us better and healthier, and all of those amazing things. So, Steph,
Yes.
let's let you jump in. But Nicole, hello. Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to chat with you guys and see what I can provide to your audience.
Yes, we're super excited to have you on. This is definitely an episode that I need. And I know, Nicole, you're going to have a heart attack because I've been eating hot dogs and I know how much you're going to hate hot dogs.
Mm.
You're going to have a heart attack.
Uh-oh. I know. Hot dogs. Everyone has an opinion on hot dogs. It's getting a little controversial, people.
It's fine. It's fine. If you don't mind the scraps of the pig, like the intestines or whatever, you're good.
Everybody at home, put your food down.
Oh my gosh. So to kick us off on our special Thursday edition of Business Salad, Nicole, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your company, Dark Horse Nutrition?
Yeah, so to make a super long story as short as possible, I've always been athletic growing up. I've had six-pack abs. I've been 40 pounds overweight and everywhere in between. So I've been on every side of the spectrum. So things really came to a head on my wedding day when I was about 40 pounds overweight, and I knew something had to change. So I sought help for my mental and emotional health. And as soon as I went through that process, is when I started to make lasting changes, make better decisions with my food, start to regain my passion for working out and just health and fitness in general. So it was through my personal experience that I realized no matter what you do in the kitchen, no matter what you do in the gym, until you really take care of the underlying issues, what's really going on beneath the surface, you're not going to make lasting change. So I focus with my company, Dark Horse Nutrition LLC. I started that because I want to show people, I work primarily with women, but show people in general that yo-yo dieting and fad diets and these quick fixes aren't the answer. And I'm proof of that I was able to lose the weight and keep it off. So through my personal experience, I've learned that I focus on four key areas. So mindset, nutrition, emotion, and movement are the four key areas that has helped me, and I think can help so many others find their own success. So that's essentially my journey on why I started, and and so far my clients have seen great success, and it's hard work. It's not easy, but if you're ready, willing, and able to put in the work and really dive into your lifestyle and your habits, then you will find success.
Absolutely. So now tell us what your typical clientele look like.
So right now, like I said, I typically work primarily with women. I have had male clients, but I typically work with women needing to lose about 50, 40 to 100 pounds. And I focused on that demographic because, one, of my own personal experience of needing to lose 40, 50 pounds. And then I feel like that's a very underserviced demographic, because if you need to lose that amount of weight, there's something else going on that's causing you to continue eating and doing the things you're doing. So it is hard working with those clients because you are dealing with a lot of emotion and addiction and those sorts of things. So since I've dealt with some of the, not the addiction piece, but since I've dealt with some of those in my own personal experience, I feel like I can work well and I know how to work with those types of clients.
Awesome. Awesome.
Absolutely. You know, and I think one of the things that I think most people can relate to is those various struggles, whether it's in, you know, eating healthy or just kind of making those decisions. And sometimes it's a matter of, you know, some of us have been like you had said, we've been really fit and we've kind of gotten off the wagon and all these different things happen. I know I certainly have been there and kind of getting my way back in. But one of the things I think that we run into, depending on what our situation is kind of saying, well, how can I make little choices or little decisions in my day to be healthier and to do those little things? And there's sometimes excuses that creep in, right? So I want to ask you, I know Steph's going to do a pivot off this, but I want to ask you, for people who, let's say now that some of us are kind of heading back into work physically, some of us are at home, we're in different places. For those of us that maybe they are kind of getting out in the morning and they're heading out the door and they're going physically to an office away from home, things like that. What tips might you have, Nicole, for somebody who says, you know what, I should probably make some better nutritional decisions or some healthier choices throughout my day? That person who's like, well, but I'm at work all day. Do you have any tips for people like the working away from home people?
Well, I think this can apply outside and inside the workplace. I think this is the overarching thing, is the all or nothing mindset. And I say that because most people have that. So especially when they're starting the diet, that's why they do these quick fixes or these fad diets, because they want to drop the weight fast. They're looking for the quick fixes. So if you have this all or nothing mindset, you're going to come out of the gate too hot and you're going to try to change everything all at once. And you're setting yourself up for failure on day one. So I will say, just if you tend to eat a lot of processed foods, maybe decide to have one meal that's good, organic, whole foods that are not processed, and just slowly start to make changes. Don't go at it all at once, because you are not going to succeed in the long term, because it's going to get overwhelming. And then the second you mess up, stop starting over. Don't say, okay, I messed up. I had a bag of chips. Crap, I'm screwed. Well, this day is ruined, so I'm just going to keep that trend going, and then I'll get back on the horse tomorrow. So rather than doing that, say, okay, cool, I messed up. If you want to use that word, messed up, I think of those things as road bumps or things to learn from. What could I do better? Just try to do better the rest of the day, make better choices, and just stop starting over. I think are the two main culprits holding people back, are the all or nothing mindset and trying to do everything at once. Just implement small changes, change one thing at a time, and then stop starting over every time you veer off course or off plan, even just a little bit. Just stop starting over, just stay the course, and just try to do better the next meal.
Right.
Absolutely. No, that's great. That's super helpful.
Now, I know, Nicole, the last time we talked, you were mentioning a client example where she's in the office and she kept hitting the vending machine. Can you tell everybody that story and what you did to help alleviate that vending machine addiction?
Oh, the vending machine.
So I'm prior military. I spent over 14 years in the military. So I came up with the term Operation Trunk with this particular client. So she would prepare her food, and she has easy access to the vending machine when she's at work. So say she didn't want to eat the food she brought, or she's having a stressful day and she just wants to eat all of the things, she would habitually go to the vending machine and get chips, or her vice, chips, because people often think of food as a comfort rather than thinking of food as something to help you sustain life, something to help fuel your day, provide energy for your body to function optimally. People seek food as a comfort. So I came up with this idea called Operation Trunk, where I essentially said, hey, if you can't control yourself from going to the vending machine or buying a cheeseburger or fries or whatever, she works at a burger place, then leave your wallet in the trunk of your car. That way you don't have the means to go to the vending machine or buy those things. It might sound extreme, but if you're compulsive or impulsively doing those things, you oftentimes have to go to extremes temporarily until you're able to control how you handle your emotion and how you handle those emotions with food. Then I say make it as hard as possible. for you to get those things. So now if she wants to go to the vending machine, she has to literally leave her place of work, not only go to her car, now she has to go into the trunk of her car to get her wallet out. So it's just creating that one extra lever barrier, or make things a bit more complicated to compulsively go and get the junky foods.
Yeah.
I love that. That's great. You know, it's like growing up in Vegas, it was, if you're going to go to the casino, you pull out the amount of money that you're willing to spend and you leave everything else at home. You take that money and you take your ID, and there's nothing you can do about it. When you've lost, you've lost. Get your butt home, stop spending money.
Yeah. And it's the same thing. Like if you think about it, so casinos, and I'm glad you mentioned that because I love Vegas, but casinos do that on purpose, right? The shiny lights, the music, the sounds, it's all our psychology, right? They're trying to get into our psyche. That's the same with food. They make food look glamorous and as good as possible to make you want those foods. So that's where the trouble started to come in, because a lot of the food industry works with psychologists, and many people don't know this. I just actually recently found this out. Like, the food industry, especially marketers, use psychologists to market their products more often than not. The crap foods that we shouldn't be eating, like the fast food, the chocolate, the chips, all the things, they work with psychologists because psychologists know how to market to get into the psychology, on the psyche of the people looking. So that's why when we see those things on TV, we're more inclined to buy those things. And that's, I think that's where the emotional eating started, is when marketing started targeting their ads towards our emotion and our mindset, and that's when it started. But it's similar to a casino. It's feeding your addiction, and they do that on purpose, and that's the same with food.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow.
You know, one of the things that you mentioned, I love when you were talking a little bit about Dark Horse and really sort of, you know, those 4 areas of focus. And I love the very first one, the first things you mentioned was mindset. And then I think that is something where we can have all the knowledge and all these tools and be aware. And almost anyone's going to say to you, yes, I know I should eat this over this, you know.
Exactly.
But, what is some of your thoughts on, you know, just generally speaking, when you think about mindset, when someone, maybe they do know what they should do, but they're in that wrong mindset, how can they shift that mindset into saying, okay, this is how I can eat a certain way, or this is how I can make those better choices? What about mindset for you that you really focus on in coaching?
So again, it goes back to the 2 things. I'm just looking at my blog here because I did a blog post on this recently, but it's kind of like what I started saying. So like the all or nothing mindset, the starting over, and the other one is change one thing at a time. So those are the 3 big ones, right? Is because if you keep starting over, then you're never going to reach sustainability, right? Because you're just going to like keep doing as I explained earlier, and the same with the all or nothing. But I think the big key is to change your thinking around food. So again, it's food isn't supposed to be a comfort. Yes, as a society, we've learned to use food as a way to be social, a way to bond, and all those things, which are fine. But if you're coming from a place of emotion and a place of addiction and anxiety around food, because of marketing and all the misinformation out there, then that's not going to work for you. So you're going to have to change your thinking around food and think of food as something that fuels your body, something that keeps you alive, and not something that is supposed to provide comfort, right? So that's not a healthy way to look at food. So I really focus on how they see food, of course, providing the nutritional information on why these things are preferred over other things and how they interact with your body, just the informational level. But I think really it comes down to how you see food, and just changing your mindset or your thought process around food and how you see food. Because once you get that done, then it'll be easier to follow healthier foods and not be tricked by the crap that you see on TV. And the grocery stores are the same way. They do that on purpose, right? All the healthy foods in the perimeter, but where do you go first? You go down all the internal aisles. So all these things are done on purpose to get into the psychology of us, right? To trick us. And that's what's making things complicated. But once you change your thinking around food and how you see food for yourself, it's very individualized. So I don't blanket it because everyone comes with different problems. But as soon as you change the way you think around food and the way you treat food, then those other things are just going to be that much easier.
Wow. No, that's great. That's super helpful. I love that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I just had a quick question since we were talking about kind of the being able to control those eating habits and things like that in the workplace. So you can see that Katie is in her office and I'm actually at home.
Yeah.
I'm at home with 4 kids. And so it gets really hard for me to kind of stay, I don't want to say on plan because I know you're not really like into it, but to stay focused and health conscious and all of those things. So I was curious if you had any tips for those of us who are still primarily working at home, or even maybe people who work in their car all day long, or anything like that relating to even just having kids. And you know, people always want the junk food.
So I'll touch on the kids and the junk food piece in a second because there's a whole new thing about that that I don't want to get down in deep because I don't want to offend the mothers or the parents out there. But I will say if you're in a car all day, again, military background, so I already went over Operation Trunk. The other thing is I say go bag, right? So like if you are spend 80% of your time and the majority of your time in your vehicle traveling from point A to point B, whether you have a sales job, you're a realtor, whatever the case is, right? There are fast food establishments, gas stations, just whatever on almost every freaking corner, no matter where you are. So I like the go bag. So you could put things like almonds, nuts, trail mix, protein bars, fiber one bars, just those types of foods that won't go bad very, very quickly, and are healthier and will hold you over until you're able to get that next meal. You can also have the pre-made shakes, which I recommend pure protein because they have a good amount of protein and not a lot of sugar. But things like that, I recommend if you're in a car a lot because it'll curb your hunger. And if you eat foods high in protein, high in fiber, it'll keep you fuller longer. So you'll be less inclined to snack. And that goes with working from home or in the office. If you eat a diet, so I call the trifecta: water, fiber, protein. So those 3 things keep you fuller for longer. So if you eat a diet high in protein, it has a higher thermic effect. It takes your body longer to digest it, to break it down. You're burning more calories digesting, breaking down protein. So it's naturally going to keep you fuller longer, right? I've never met anyone who OD'd on eating protein. And then the same with fiber. It has the same benefit, although your body doesn't digest it, you kind of poop it out, right? It helps things flow, but they're more low calorie dense foods. So you're able to eat a higher volume of fibrous foods. Think of your fruits, your vegetables, your whole grains. You're able to eat a higher volume of those foods for fewer calories. So that's naturally going to keep you fuller for longer, right? Because you're eating more food than you would, say, an unhealthy carbohydrate. So I say if you are working from home or regardless of your situation, increase your water, increase your fiber, increase your protein. If you're on the road, a go bag, keeping those items with you, snack foods, if you will, full of protein and fiber. And then as far as tips on in the workplace, I say get up, set a timer, and just get up every hour because oftentimes we sit at the computer, right? It's not good for our butt. We collapse in. I'm doing it now, so it's not good for your abs, right? So if you could sit up or even get one of those balls that you sit on, you'll be activate your core. So you're getting a core workout while you're at work. But, set your timer to get up and walk around every 60 minutes or 2 hours because one, your eyes need the rest, your brain needs the rest, and you're getting extra steps in. Make sure you're drinking a lot of water when you're at your desk because a lot of times we get so busy, we don't think about water, right?
Yes.
So a lot of times, I don't want to get too in the weeds of this, but a lot of times we confuse our thirst and hunger signals. And I think a lot of times we're so quick to grab food rather than doing the easy thing, which is to grab water, wait it out to see if you're truly hungry. So I say make sure you're drinking your water consciously when you're at work, because you get busy, you get distracted, you don't, water's often, forgotten about. So if that'll help immensely with your hunger and of course your overall health. Walk around. If you have a standing desk, maybe stand. I stand about 6 hours out of the 8 hours I'm at work. I stand all the time. And then if you're at home, say the same thing, right? Because it's so easy to overwork yourself when you're at home, because you don't have a boss saying, okay, it's go time, pool chalk, pop smoke, time to go. Like, you can work until all hours of the night because there's no one telling you to stop working. So I say stick to the same schedule you would in the office. If you are a 9-to-5er, then when you're at home, work 9 to 5. Why change your schedule up? Stay on schedule. And the same with food. Just because you're working from home, why change the way you eat just because you're working from home? And that falls into the boredom eating. People tend to boredom eat. So I say stick to the plan, and rather than boredom eating, like when you think you want food because you're just bored, you're not really hungry, drink water or do something to distract you from thinking about food, because oftentimes we fall into that trap of boredom eating. And then for those with kids, I think my question would be, why do you feed your kids the junky foods? Like if they are like 7, whatever, I'm not a mom, but if you have kids, why are you feeding them fried foods? Why are you feeding them chicken nuggets and mac and cheese and those types of foods like every day? Because the obesity epidemic isn't just adults, it's kids too, right? So I don't agree with, my kids can't eat what I eat. They have to eat these other foods, but why? That's my question, is why? Why do the parents have to get off their plan because now they have to cook 2 separate meals for them and their kids? When I grew up, if I didn't eat what my parents cooked, I wasn't eating.
Totally.
Like, so that would be, so that would be my question, is why are you feeding your kids something different than what you would eat? So I just don't understand that concept.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're right. That's definitely could be its entirely own show, because I am positive that we could get, as a mom of 4, I'm positive that we could get women on here who are desperate for ways to find to make healthy food fun for their kids, because it does get very stressful when you want to offer them, especially like if they go to school or whatever and they see the other kids have these foods and they're like, I want that, Tommy had this, and we go to the grocery store, I want that. And so it can get very exhausting arguing. And so when you come home and at the end of the day and you've spent a long day or you've been with the kids all day, and eventually it's like, oh my gosh, okay, fine. You've been bitching at me for 30 minutes. You haven't eaten since yesterday morning. Fine, here, take the Cheetos, leave me alone. So I do think that, at least I didn't give them a Sabret's hot dog, which is really good. I think
back to the hot dog.
Hot girl. Okay, so
looking for a sponsorship. Okay, she really likes these hot dogs.
Well, there are healthier ways, though. There are healthier alternatives to the types of food you feed your kids, though. Like it's so one. I don't want to speak because I'm not a parent, but I will say there are like zucchini fries. There are cauliflower rice. There's healthier alternatives to the types of foods that they want to eat. And again, if you think about when you grew up, I could whine and bitch and complain all I wanted to my parents. They didn't care. They weren't cooking more than one meal. If I didn't eat what they served, then I was going hungry, and that's my bad because they're the parent, I'm the child.
Yeah.
So again, I'm not teaching people how to parent. I'm just saying, like, I don't understand where that shift came from and why it is the way it is now, to where now the parents are catering to their kids and not giving their kids the foods that really provide their body the nutrients it needs. And now, childhood obesity is on the rise, and I just don't know where that shift came from or why it started or how it started. But there are healthier alternatives to the types of foods that your kids would want. It's just doing your research and seeking them out, and over time your kids will learn to love them. But that could be a topic for a different show. But I just don't understand where that shift came from, because like I said, if I whined or complained, I would get sent up to my room and I will be grounded. And if I didn't eat what my parents served me, too bad, so sad. You know what I mean?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I think a lot of it probably came, and then I'll get off this topic, but I do think a lot of it probably came from latchkey kids. You know, the kids who come home after school, they're in the house by themselves, the parents are at work, they're on their own. And so it's hard to say to your child, because back in the day, young kids were latchkey kids, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was one. Yeah.
Go. And that was probably actually before the days of cauliflower rice and the healthier alternatives. So you grab what's there, you know, and if Frosted Flakes is what they make, Frosted Flakes is what they make. So I think that some of it stems from that. I do still love a good box of the Blue Kraft mac and cheese. Still one of my favorite things.
So those foods aren't bad, inherently bad. It's just the quantities. It's if you're feeding your kids that every day, that's the problem.
Yeah.
I had pizza last night. I don't eat it every day, but it's moderation, right? So like if you're feeding your kids those types of foods every day because they're crying and screaming, then that's where the problem lies, and there has to be a line. But if your kids want Frosted Flakes, cool. Just don't eat a whole Tupperware container full of Frosted Flakes and give it to them every day. But it's just monitoring and paying attention to their portions of those types of foods and how much they're truly eating, because it does add up, and those are very high calorie foods. What you're feeding them. And then the kids aren't as active as they are now. Like I used to play outside all the day. Now there's video games, now there's this, now there's that, so now they're inside. So now you're feeding them like a 600 calorie meal as a 12-year-old, for example, and then what do? They watch TV or they go play video games, so they're not burning off those calories, so they're going to start, the weight's going to start creeping up.
Yes. Oh, and speaking of high calorie, Nicole, when you and I chatted the other day, you told me about a very popular bar that
Built Bar.
Yeah. Can you just quickly touch on that before we wrap this up? Because this is really interesting and something I didn't know, and I bet it's a misnomer that a lot of people are logged in on.
So when it comes to protein bars, a lot of them are high in sugar, and a popular one that people grab are Cliff Bars. Now, Cliff Bars is not considered a protein bar for real. It's an energy bar. If you read their packaging, it's energy bar. So it's super high in sugar, super high in carbs. It's like 12 grams of protein. It's kind of moderate on protein. And that's because those types of bars are energy bars. They're supposed to fuel you like mid-marathon, mid-triathlon. It's fueling the athlete. So it gives them that quick energy. And that's why it's so high in sugar. But people use that as a meal replacement, and that's not what it's intended to do. And if you eat those for a meal, you'll realize that within 2 hours you're hungry again, because it's high carb, high sugar, and kind of low on the protein content. So the two bars I recommend are One Bars and Built Bars. So Built Bars are lower calorie than One Bar, so I would definitely pair them with fruit or oatmeal or something else. But they're both like 24 grams of protein, so they're high protein, 2 grams of sugar, so low sugar, low carb. So when you're looking at nutrition labels, you want to keep the protein, grams of protein and grams of carbs, kind of similar. You want them balanced out, because a higher carb or higher sugar, the more processed. So Built Bars and One Bars, I think, in my opinion, are the best bars to get, because you get more bang for your buck. You get low calorie, high protein, and little to no sugar.
Love it. Awesome. Thank you.
No, I think that's awesome. And, and I think so much of what you're talking about, Nicole, also, we think about different things that stress us out, whether it's, we're feeling lethargic, or we're feeling, just generally, maybe it's emotional or whatever it is. And I think sometimes we forget that when we are eating extremely poor, or when we are having a lot of those fatty or greasy foods, it's not going to help those situations. And I'll say, like myself, I've seen, whether it's myself or my kiddo, when we have days where we're eating like garbage, we feel like garbage. And I think that that's one of those things that what you do and how you help people with nutrition, it doesn't just help the physical and the weight loss and those things. It helps your mind and your spirit, just everything about you. So I think what you're doing is such a great thing. And I think that anyone that reaches out to you, we're going to be talking about how they can do that. Anyone that reaches out to you, I think you're going to benefit tremendously just from your knowledge and your experience. You're doing good work. So I think it's awesome to be able to meet someone like you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And that's so true. So I like to say eat well to be well, essentially.
Totally.
So what you put in your body is what you're going to get back. So if you
Absolutely.
eat a lot of junky foods like you described, then you're going to feel junky. And if
Totally.
you eat well, and working out is good too. Like working out not only helps your physical body, but if you think about it, if you go to the gym and have a hard workout, a good workout, you don't want pizza, you don't want soda, you want to eat good quality foods because you feel good. And that's where the emotional eating comes in. When you feel bad, you want to instinctively keep feeling bad. So
Right.
you eat those other foods. So I think it comes full circle. Yep.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Well, Nicole, I'd like you to please let everybody know where they can book with you, where they can enlist your services, where they should find you on social. Give everybody the rundown, and then we'll put them in the chat for everybody too when we're done.
Yeah, of course. So my website is darkhorse-nutrition.com. And then on Facebook, you can find my business page at Nutrition Dark is the at thing. And then IG is sneaky.fit.
I love it.
Love it. Love it. And you guys are looking for the logo with the lotus, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so my business page is Dark Horse Nutrition LLC. I also have a Facebook group, which I go live every Thursday. I have guests on, or I'm flying solo, but it's good. It's a growing community, and my hope is to provide, good quality information, answer questions, and trying to dispel all the misinformation out there on social media the best way I can.
Yeah. And I think you've done a great job of that today here too. So thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was tons of fun.
Absolutely. And just so everybody knows, you can find Business Salad on social at Biz Salad Show on Instagram and Business Salad on YouTube.
That's right. Happy Friday, everybody.
Happy Friday. We'll see you next week, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Bye.